of the next hour. My name is Matthew Epps, and I'm Lead Commissioner Business and Economy in the County Council's Economy and Skills Kits team. And we commission, manage or deliver a number of business support programmes, including this Adapt and Diversify grant scheme. And I'm joined today by Louisa Smith, who is going to take you through part of the presentation this morning and also hopefully answer your questions. Also joined by Simeon Lee, who is one of our business advisors. And again, Sim will be taking you through part of the presentation. And also Emily, who's supporting us this morning as well. Can you move on to the next slide, please, Sim? Thank you. Yeah, you've done that already. So, sorry, no, back again. Thank you. So this morning we're going to be talking about our Adapt and Diversify grant scheme. We recently relaunched the scheme. So we've organised this webinar this morning to take you through the process of applying for a grant. We're going to give an overview of the scheme, talk about the criteria and the type of activities that could be funded, how to apply. There'll be plenty of opportunity for questions. So throughout the session, please put your questions in the chat, and then we'll stop at different times to answer those. And also we're going to finish by just giving you a very brief overview of other support from the County Council that might be of interest to you in your business. So I'll stop at that point and hand over to Louisa.
Hello, everybody. Right, my name's Louisa Smith and I work on Adapt and Diversify grants, as Matt has alluded to. The Adapt and Diversify grant is obviously in place for small businesses in the retail, hospitality, tourism and leisure sector, but also their affected suppliers, supply chains as well. So there is we do have a web page, which obviously you will have all been to today, I would imagine, to have got the link to come on to this webinar. Basically, this programme was set up to complement the support that's being offered by the district and borough councils, which is obviously business rate relief, ARG type relief, and those other grants that are out there at the moment. And basically, we had round one of this grant in February, where we allocated a large proportion of the funding, but we still have £850,000 left to allocate in this round. So it's for grants of £2,500 to £5,000 to access specialist external expertise, and up to £20,000 for projects which involve expertise and/or equipment or property refurbishment. If you could have the next slide, please. Okay, it's very important, obviously, that you check to make sure that you're eligible for this grant. So it's small retail, hospitality, tourism and leisure businesses and certain identified businesses in their supply chains. There is a list of businesses that are eligible actually on the web page with all the relevant SIC codes, and you could hopefully you can find your business actually on that list. If your business isn't on that list, then you are not eligible, I'm afraid. Applicants must be able to demonstrate that they've been negatively affected by COVID and have clear plans to adapt and/or diversify their business moving forward. This is open to all types of businesses in Warwickshire. This is being run by Warwickshire County Council, so it's only open for businesses in Warwickshire, not in Coventry, I'm afraid. And with a minimum of 1 year trading history. Sorry, I won't be a moment. I keep getting pop-up boxes coming up over my slides. I do apologise. Okay, and this is for micro and small businesses. So obviously you need to be part of that. Okay, so, and like I said, there is a list of eligible SIC codes on the website, which I will show you where that is in just a moment. Sim, if we could have the next page, please. Okay, so types of eligible activities that you can apply for. It's access to specialist external professional advice. So, for example, if you have during lockdown done something to your business to make it more appealing to the general public, or set up an outside area if you're a restaurant or a public house, and you need to promote that. So what we can do is we can fund some marketing costs if you needed a new website, social media, that type of thing. So if you needed to take on the services of a marketing agency or somebody that could set up a website for you, then that would be eligible. It would also be things if you were looking to increase your number of staff, but you wanted to obviously keep abreast of HR laws and regulations, and you weren't at the stage where you were employing an HR professional, that you could look at talking to an HR business. It's also to do with things like accountants, legal, financial. I mean, what we do find a lot is that with those micro and small businesses, they don't tend to always have an accountant as such. So, if there's issues in that way that would help move the business forward, that an accountancy could help with, or perhaps somebody to look over the books of the business and see where they can save money or where they need to spend money, that type of thing. This is what we're looking at. We'll also look at investment in capital equipment. So things like if you were going to have a new website and you needed a server to run that website, if you were going to go have a point of sale system installed in your hospitality business, it's purchasing that point of sale system and then sort of rolling it out within your business. So there's quite a lot that can be included. Also, refurbishment or refit of property. It's not so much a refurb or a refit of a property that might just be a bit tired. It has to show that you're adapting and diversifying your business. So if you haven't previously had an outside space, or you have had issues with being able to social distance because of the layout of your premises, things like that, of ways of moving your business forward, and also looking at ideas of if we are, because we probably will be in this situation for quite a while where we will have to social distance or people will have to wear masks. And also, even if rules are relaxed, I think some people will feel that they want to carry on social distancing or wearing masks, and it's facilitating that in your environment. Okay, so the grants available, as I said before, are between 2,500 and 5,000 for just accessing external expertise, and from 2,500 to 20,000 for accessing specialist expertise and or the purchase of new equipment or refurbishment of property. This means that you can, if you didn't want the specialist expertise, it could just be on capital equipment. It doesn't, you don't have to have the expertise if you don't feel that you need it, but it's there because typically with the types of grants that we offer, they tend to just be on capital investment, on equipment, and we don't normally offer any support on the expertise side of things, the marketing, the digital side of things. So this is slightly different in that we're trying to assist businesses to move forward in a different way to how we have done historically. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Right, okay, so how to apply. Basically, everything you need is on our webpage. So you've got our guidance on there. You have a copy, a Word document, a copy of the application form. You also have a list of all the SIC codes. The online applications go live on Monday, the 17th of May at 9:30 a.m. Now, last time we went live, the applications closed within the day. This was because we were monitoring the amount of applications that were coming in and the financial amounts, and very quickly went over the amount of funding that was available. And that's why we stopped it, because we didn't want people to keep submitting applications when we knew that there wasn't much chance of them actually being able to proceed to being offered a grant. We expect this round to also be well subscribed to as well. So I would say the reason that we've launched it early is to give you time to prepare your projects, to prepare the documents that we need, and have a good look at the application form. Look at the types of questions that we're going to be asking you. You will have to complete these online. That application form there is just there for you, so you can see what the questions are going to be. It's not for you to complete it manually and then put it in the post. It's not for you to submit that as part of your application, but it tells you what the questions are, so you can use it as guidance. And if you wanted to go through it and copy and then answer the questions and then copy and paste your responses into the online form, then that's perfectly fine. As part of that application, there is mandatory supporting information. Now, the financial appendices sounds more complicated than it is. Basically, you're asking for money. How are you going to spend it? When are you going to spend it? So it's more to do with the actual, the grant amount, the cost of your project. So if you're applying for £20,000 and you think, right, my project's going to start on the 1st of June and I'm going to complete it by the end of September, then basically you just need to show that you are spending that money between those dates, and what basically how you expect that to go. It's basically so that we can see when the payments are going to be outgoing, when the project's going to be coming to a financial completion, and also looking at your outputs for if you're saying about safeguarding jobs or creating new jobs. Okay. We also ask for a business plan. Again, people get hung up on this because they think a business plan needs to be a 30-page document. It doesn't. Basically, if you already have a business plan, that's great. But basically, what we want to know is about your business. We want to know how your business is at the moment and how the Adapt and Diversify grant will help your business. How will it move it forward? Where do you see your business being in a couple of years' time as a result of being able to get this grant, as a result of being able to undertake the project that you have in mind? So that's what a business plan is in this case. We want to see where your business is at and where you want it to be, obviously taking into account the project that you're applying for the grant for. Okay. Accounts wise, we need copies of your last 2 years' accounts. And this is basically because obviously as a county council, we have to practice due diligence in ensuring that a company is financially viable, and obviously looking at your turnover and what have you from the past. So it's really, we do need to do financial checks. We do understand that everybody that will be applying for this will have been negatively affected in the last year. We're not expecting to see bumper accounts during COVID. And in fact, if we were, then we would not understand really why you were applying for the grant. What we're looking for is viability, business viability. We need to make sure that your business is trading legally. Okay, so that's part of the reason that we need those accounts. The other information that we need is copy of the quotes. These are for quotes that are over £500. If it's less than £500, we only need one copy of the quote. Ideally as well, we want you to think about when you're getting quotes to look at local suppliers. You're a Warwickshire business that has been negatively affected by COVID. Chances are your suppliers potential in Warwickshire will have been negatively affected too. Wouldn't it be great if you could give the business to someone local to you? So so basically any money that you're investing in your business by way of the grant then gets paid to another business in Warwickshire, so they're benefiting from that. And that's the reason for that, really, because obviously we want to support all businesses in Warwickshire. We are aware sometimes that you can't always go with a local supplier for specific software requirements, or if there's only one company that provides this piece of equipment, and we will make allowances for that. But you need to let us know that that's why you haven't supplied the 3 quotes. Okay. And also things like if you did want to refurb your premises, or especially external, shop front or garden or whatever you wanted to do, we need to also make sure that you've checked that if you're renting that business, you're a tenant, that you've had permission to go ahead with that project, because we can't give you a grant for a project that's not allowed legally. And also, if you are in a situation where you need to apply for planning permission, let us know that you've applied for planning permission. Okay. And basically, the funding is allocated on a first come, first serve basis. But we need to make sure that when we look at the applications, that we have all of the information that we require. And unfortunately, if we don't have the mandatory information that we require, applications will be rejected. Okay, this is why it's very important to make sure that you read through everything so you know that you're submitting the correct information. Now, can I have the next slide, please, Tim? Right, okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this will work. And I will go through the application form. Won't be a moment. Okay. Can everyone see that? Yeah, I'm looking, people are nodding, that's good. Right, so this is our web page for the Adapt and Diversify grant, and you'll see, obviously, you've probably gone onto this link here to join the webinar today. Now you'll see on here, before you apply, this is the information that's on here for you. So you've got the Adapt and Diversify guidance for applicants, eligible SIC codes, and you have the application form. Obviously, I would look at those two documents before you look at the application form to make sure that your business is eligible and that your project is eligible. You have to have a project. This isn't a grant that's just being given out to businesses because they haven't been open. It's an Adapt and Diversify grant. The point is that you have to show that your business is adapting or diversifying or both, and that you have a project in mind for the grant amount. Okay, so pretty much everything you're going to need is going to be on this guidance. Okay, you've also then got your SIC codes to show if you're eligible, and the application form. Okay, so what I would say is read this guidance. We are available, and you'll see in a second, I'll go back to the slide, and there is a business@warwickshire.gov.uk email address that you can email with any queries. But what I would ask is that you read the guidance first, because chances are the answer to your question is in the guidance. Or if you're saying, well, I don't know if I'm eligible or not, look at the eligible SIC codes. And if your SIC code's not in there, then you're not eligible. Okay, so it's just basically because obviously we get a lot of traffic to that inbox, and we want to be able to deal with everybody efficiently as we can. So we're really grateful if you can check through that guidance and also those eligibility codes first, please. I'll then take us through to the application form. So this is what the application form looks like on Word. So, and this is what the online application form has been adapted from. Okay, so everything, although the layout will look slightly different because it's an online form, it's basically identical. So all of the questions are the same. So you've got your name of your project summary. We're just expecting a few lines there, really, just to give us an overview of what your project is. We then ask you how your business has been negatively affected by COVID. And the reason we ask this is this is part of the eligibility criteria. So, you need to let us know how your business has been negatively affected. And also because we want to see that the project that you're applying for does actually relate to that fact. Okay. So then it's just simple information about your business, the name of your business, who you are, your postcode, address at which the project will be located if it's different to the above, the length of time trading at that address, and also the district and borough area that you're in. Business details wise, We're asking for the status of your business, so limited company, sole trader, partnership, etc. Your main business activity sector. And then we're then asking for your company number or your unique trade reference number or charity registration number or partnership, whichever applies. Okay. Now, what we need as well is if you are a sole trader, we do need evidence of that. And the reason being is because we can obviously, with company numbers, we can check company details on Companies House. We can't do that with sole traders. So we do need evidence of that you are a sole trader, that you do actually have a business set up and you're applying in the name of that business rather than as an individual. Okay, so that will be part of the mandatory supporting information that you need to add later on. And then it's the date the business started trading, your interest in the property, if you're the tenant or owner, how many years you've got left on your lease. Again, this is important because if you're a tenant and you're asking for a grant to do refurb the property, and then you've only got 6 months left on your lease, you know, that could be an issue. We would, you know, that would need to be highlighted because you know, if you're applying for a grant, say £10,000 to do a refurbishment at a property that you're only tenanted to for the next 6 months, then there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to stay at that property. So these are all things that are important to us. VAT registration number, if you're VAT registered, just to let you know that part of your grant, if you're not VAT registered, then we will pay the VAT. If you are VAT registered, then we won't. Okay. And then it's the number of employees, FTEs, which is full-time equivalent at 36 hours. It could be that you might have 5 members of staff and they all work 20 hours a week each. So it's just adding that together and dividing it by 36, and that's how many FTE staff you have. Okay. And then the turnover per annum from your latest set of accounts. This is important as well. We ask the question, is your business linked with any other businesses? If yes, please provide the details of the linked businesses, including number of employees. And this is also because we need to make sure that you are a micro or small business. And if you're saying that you're a small business, but then you have links to a business that is isn't classed as a micro or small business, then obviously we would need to know about that. We're also interested in previous funding that you've received. With regards to district and borough grants, local authority grants, if you've received those grants, you are still very much eligible to apply for this one. If, however, you have received a Warwickshire County Council COVID support grant, which would be through Retail and Hospitality Grant, which we ran last year, or Survive, Sustain and Grow, which is another programme that we've been running with a discretionary grant element, then you are not eligible to apply for this. And the reason being for that is obviously we want to try and reach businesses that we haven't already reached. Okay. But we do need to know if you've had any other form of funding, so through ERDF or small capital grants, that type of thing. Okay. And then this is where you get to describe what your project is and how it will enable a significant change to your business. Remember, this is adapting and diversifying. What's going to be different? Okay. And then the total grant amount required. And we need to know whether those costs are estimates or based on quotations received. Sometimes people can take a bit of time supplying you with a quote, but if they say to you, well, it's going to be roughly 15k, but I'll put it in writing, then you can say that you've received an estimate for 15k and you're just waiting for the written quote. That's fine. We can still look at that. Okay, but it's just communication is key with this. Just let us know that information. Now, this bit does trip a few people up, and it's basically your key dates and your milestones. And it's just really what I was saying earlier about your financial appendices and your sort of project plan as such. It's your proposed start date for your project, what you think your first milestone will be, when it will be, your second milestone, when you think you're going to financially complete, and when you think you're going to complete your output delivery. Now you'll see from the outputs underneath, when we talk about outputs, basically we're talking about people and we're talking about products. Okay, so if you are saying that as a result of your project, you are going to safeguard a number of jobs, then this is where we would want this information. If you are saying as a result of this project that you are going to take on more staff, then this is where we would need that information. However, please resist the temptation to say that you will safeguard every single job in your organisation if the project goes ahead, because that would then suggest to us that if the project doesn't go ahead, that your business is going to close. And I would imagine, well, I would hope that that would not be the case. So please be realistic with your numbers. The minimum requirement for this grant is that you're safeguarding one job. That could be your job. If you're a sole trader, all you need to be doing is safeguarding that one job. If you think that you're going to take on staff in the future, please do let us know. But think about it. How many people are you likely to take on? Don't think, oh, if this goes great, we're going to take on 5 people. Okay, that's fine. But what if things change in the economy? So basically then think, okay, well, maybe it might be slightly less than 5 people. I would underestimate as opposed to overestimate, because the thing is if you are offered the grant, you are sent an offer letter, which is a legal document, and it asks you to sign to say that this is what your outcomes are going to be. So it's really important to make sure that you put the correct outcomes in there with regards to safeguarding and creating of jobs. Okay. And then this area is for planning permissions and consents, which would be landlord consent or planning permission from your local authority, things that you thought about, risks that you've identified with your project and how you're managing these. And then this is the mandatory supporting information. And this is the information that you need to attach to your application. You can actually attach 30 documents to your application. You don't need to, but you can. Now, the reason being for that is obviously because if you're asking for lots of different equipment and you need 3 quotes for each, then it soon mounts up. But what we need from you is an appendices, which is, as I said, a funding profile, cost breakdown and financial projections. So basically, the money coming in, how it's going to be spent, when it's going to be spent. Okay. A business plan, which we've already talked about. Statutory audited or unaudited draft accounts, including those of any linked businesses. Quotes or tender estimates. And we would like to know who you are wanting to go with as part of your project. And the reason for this is sometimes people haven't said, and then because the quotes are quite similar, it's difficult to see which is their preferred supplier. Okay, evidence of your UTR if you are a sole trader. Okay, so this is the information that we need from you. This is mandatory supporting information. If we don't get this information, then your application will be rejected. And this is purely because of the high number of applications that we expect to receive. And we haven't got time then to go back to everybody, because it's on a first come first serve basis, to go back to everybody saying you've forgotten to attach this or this isn't attached. Okay, so the onus is on you to do that. Okay, now we then got additional information, which is again, if you needed information with regards to landlord consent or planning permission, that type of thing, that won't be the case with a lot of the projects that are put forward to us, but it's there that if it is relevant, obviously you can attach that information. You then have an electronic signature at the bottom underneath your GDPR requirements. Okay, so that is your application form. So I'm going to relinquish control and hand back to Sim. If you can put the slides back up, Sim. Okay, and I can see that there's been questions coming in. So we can go through these questions now that are in the meeting chat. But also, if you do have a question that you haven't put in the meeting chat, if you want to put your hand up, then we can look at speaking to you as well. So, right, okay.
So you've got a question, first of all, would community choirs be classed as leisure?
It depends if the sick code matches. Because basically if you're a business, even if you're a not-for-profit or a registered charity, you would still have an associated sick code. So it depends on whether that sick code is eligible.
Okay, and then there's a question for Arts Hub for locals. Would this be classed as leisure?
Again, without knowing more about the business, it's difficult for me to say. We are dealing a lot with leisure businesses, and it is a case of looking through the information that's on the web page with the eligible sick codes and seeing whether your business fits into those sick codes.
Okay. This might be just part of what you were saying, Louisa, but regarding boarding kennels, are these discounted as part of the leisure industry? Because we have a question here that someone was told boarding kennels don't qualify, but we can get the ARG grants.
Yeah, with regards to ARG grants, that's not my area of expertise. Sim could probably help out with that. I'm not sure if boarding kennels are specifically again on the sick code list. That is something again that we'd have to look at the sick code and see if it's eligible. Sim, are you able to come in with regards to ARG grants in the meanwhile?
Kind of. It would depend which district or borough you're in, but it would be it would be difficult to say without knowing the exact setup if they've got a rateable value, etc. So yeah, but happy to pick it up after the webinar.
It's rugby by the looks of it, I think.
Okay, but yeah, I can get in touch after the webinar.
That's fine. We will have this is our email address. So if you've got any queries that aren't answered in the webinar, please do get in touch with us afterwards. We'll come back to you. Emily, the next question?
Yes, so this one has actually been addressed, but just to reiterate, is this on a first come first serve basis?
Yes, it is. It is on a first come first serve basis, but you do need to make sure that you've put in all your documents. And so if you're the first person to apply, but you don't attach your mandatory information, then you'll be rejected. So the next person in line will then be assessed first. So this is why it's very important. This was one of the issues that we had last time was with documents not being attached. And we were aware that some people, I think, were trying to attach files that were too big. So if you can try and reduce the file sizes, I think we have got a 10 meg limit, so which is quite big. Obviously, if you've got a huge file that that you have to email to anyone, you have to zip it, then you're probably not going to be able to attach that. You need to reduce the file size of that. And the next one?
Do you need accounts for 2020 and 2021?
Not if you haven't got them, no. But it would be useful to have an idea of your cash flow. Ideally, we're looking at the last 2-year accounts, so the previous 2 years' accounts. But we can look at draft accounts, see where you're at. So, we're not expecting it, because obviously people have different end of year times depending on their business. We're not expecting everybody to have their set of accounts for 2020, 21 at hand straight away. So.
Okay. Next question, are beauty, nails and hair salons eligible?
Again, it would be on the sick code list, but I do believe with regards, because they're would be classed as retail, that they would be.
Yeah.
Is a new business eligible?
No, you have to have been trading for 1 year minimum. We have got some other programs that do work with new businesses, and that is something that Sim will be talking about after this initial Adapt and Diversify presentation and question and answer session, Sim will be going through some of our other programs, and some of those are relevant to new businesses. So please stay on and hopefully we can help you.
What sort of evidence is acceptable to prove you are a sole trader?
Basically, a copy of your letter from HMRC. So either from your initial sole trader setup, or acknowledging receipt of your annual tax submission, or basically a letter from HMRC that shows, that's got your UTR reference on it, and obviously refers to the name of your business at the address that you're applying under.
Okay. Charity numbers. If numbers change within the last year due to a change in status from trust to CIO, would this affect applications?
No, it wouldn't. What you would need to do though is give us the information for both. Obviously on the application form, put on the information that's current, because that's what we want to be looking at right now. But we would also like to look at past evidence. So we would need to know what your old details are as well. Okay.
This might be going back to a previous question, but I'm just going through these in order. I have 3 Subway restaurant stores in Rugby under 1 limited. Do I need to apply all separate? Please advise.
Okay. Now, it's a bit difficult really with a franchise, to be honest. We don't tend to deal so much with a franchise, and it would have to be on an individual basis, not a group of restaurants, which is why we don't tend to deal with grants for franchises. So you wouldn't, I mean, it just depends on the nature of your franchise. I think that's probably something that we would need to talk to you about afterwards. It's probably not something that we should discuss in an open forum. But we don't, if you are part of a franchise where, because obviously different franchises, you get different support from the overall business that you're working, from the overall company that you're dealing with. So I think that is something that we would need to deal with after this meeting, because we don't tend to deal with franchises because it does get very complicated. So perhaps if you could email us at that business@Warwickshire address, and we can look at your query in a bit more detail.
If we have received ARG grant, can we still apply?
Yes.
And do after school clubs and performing arts, are they able to apply? It might be helpful if I perhaps put the link into the chat here that takes you to the eligible sick codes page.
Yes.
As well.
I think that would be good, Emily. Yeah, because I think the thing is obviously without going through them all while I'm in the meeting, which obviously means I'll just be looking at my screen, going through the sick codes. So yes, it does depend on your business, but I think, you know, I'm thinking school clubs and things like that, anything to do with like sports and leisure, I think they probably are eligible, but you do need to check on the sick code list.
Fine, I'll attach the link into the chat. Planning permission is, if planning permission is required for the proposed project, can we still apply pending the outcome of the planning application? And
Yes.
Does the planning app need to be submitted prior to the 17th of May?
Ideally, the planning app should be submitted in advance so that we can see, you know, that you're serious about it. But if you're in the case of if you're in the process of preparing your planning application and you're not going to be ready for it to submit it by the 17th of May, please do still submit your application to us for the Adapt and Diversify grant, but just let us know that it's pending planning application.
Just while we're on the topic of planning permission, we have got a separate question asking how you apply for planning permission.
Right, I can't answer that question, unfortunately, because that's not my area of expertise at all. But it would be, I would imagine it would be on your, whichever district or borough you're in within Warwickshire. If you go to that district or borough's website, there will be a planning department, And I mean, I'm in Stratford. I come under Stratford District Council, and I know that if I go onto Stratford District Council's website, one of the main tabs at the top is planning. And if you just go onto there, and it normally gives you details to contact the planning department and what you need to do to submit a planning permission. So it would be a case of district and boroughs. It's not covered by county, I'm afraid.
And just popping back to accounts, you mentioned that you require 2 years worth of accounts, but what if the business has only been trading 12 months?
Then we'll just have the 12 months.
Would being a sole trader, personal trainer qualify for this grant scheme? Again, I'll pop the link in there with.
Yeah, I mean, it does depend on the SIC code, but it sounds to me, because it's a leisure activity, that it most likely will be.
Okay. We are a CIC who started in September and have done no business as of yet. Would we qualify?
No, because you've not been trading for a year. So the basically you would come under, Sim will be talking about assistance for newer businesses, like I say, at the end of this presentation. So please do stick around, because it could be that we can signpost you so that you can get some assistance.
Are tax returns okay for financials for a self-employed business?
They are, but ideally what we would like to see is cash flow, because tax returns don't really give us any information about your business apart from how much tax you've paid. It doesn't show us what your income is or what your outgoings are or anything like that. So basically the information that you would have, that you prepare your tax returns from, is the kind of information that would be useful to us. Because just seeing your tax returns really doesn't give us much information about your business and how it's trading. Because it could be that you're not working full time, in which case, if you're only working part time, then your tax you might not even be paying much any tax or much tax at all. In which case, it's more important for us really to be able to see how your business is trading, as opposed to seeing how much tax you're paying.
Okay. The 3 quotes required. I want to use a local supplier for marketing services because the local knowledge is key and other companies would not be suitable. Do I still need 3 quotes?
Yes. The reason for that is because we need to know that you're getting good value for money. And the thing is it, obviously we want you to try and use local suppliers where you can. So that ticks a big box. But we do need to know that they're being competitive, because if that marketing company is going to charge you £5,000 for something that another marketing company would charge you £2,000, then obviously we have to question that as to why. We have always, this is public money, so we have to show due diligence to make sure that it's being spent in the best way possible and in the most effective way possible. So this is one of the reasons that we asked for the 3 quotes.
I am a mobile festival caterer. Would we be able to apply, as I can see on the list it says no help for mobile infrastructures? Mobile
infrastructure is basically on the guidance means that you can't apply for a grant to buy a van. So if you've already got a van and you want to look at for example, a system that you can take cashless payments, you can take card payments as part of being in that van, then that's fine. If you want to look at updating your website, then that's fine. The mobile infrastructure bit is the fact that if you applied for a grant and you put in your project that you want to buy a tuk-tuk to go round advertising your business, then we're not going to fund that. We won't, if you want to buy a work van, we're not going to fund that. So that's what it means by mobile infrastructure. If you're a business that's mobile, and you're based in Warwickshire, that's fine, you can apply.
Okay. Are charities eligible?
Yes.
And are shop refits eligible for the grant? And also, what about setting up a different business within the same premises to diversify?
Yeah, I mean, if it's all part of the same project, then I would imagine it would be. And providing that the refit is something to do with this adaptation or diversification, then yes. Like I say, I mean, if it's just a case of a shop front or the internals of a shop just being a bit tired, then that's not something that we would see necessarily as a diversification, because it's just an update. But yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on the specific project, and I can't say yes, it will definitely go through, or no, it won't. But certainly, if it's as part of an adapting and a diversification, then yes, it would be considered.
Could we just have some clarification on what does ARG grant stand for?
It means
additional restrictions grants.
That's the one. This was basically, I think, for businesses that didn't have a rateable value, that was still being affected by COVID restrictions with regards to tiering and lockdown. So, so for example, if you were a mobile hairdresser or a personal trainer that couldn't meet people outside, or obviously couldn't go to people's houses, then that would be the type of business that would be eligible for that. Okay.
This goes back slightly to the question I think we've just had. I'm a taxi driver in Rugby. Can I apply for the grant for my taxi repair or for a new taxi, because all my earnings depend on my taxi?
Unfortunately not, because we don't fund vehicles. It's difficult really, and there may be other assistance that might be available to you for that, or even looking at possibly at other finance options. So I would wait and see what other information we're going to present, because I believe as a taxi firm you are eligible, you have an eligible SIC code, and I can understand that it could be difficult to adapt and diversify as a taxi business, but it could be more things to do with like marketing or social media, that type of thing, as opposed to the actual physical vehicle. So I do apologise for that, but unfortunately purchasing a new vehicle would not be eligible. But please do stay on, because it may be that we'll be able, we'd be able to give you other information that could assist you with doing that.
Okay, so the application form is for the main project, but how do we receive specialist external advice grant? Do we still receive this grant even if our main application is rejected?
Your application that you submit would have to have that external support information on it, because that's your project, and you would have to have quotes for that already to submit that as part of your project. So I'm not really sure I understand the question, but if you're applying for outside assistance, you will need to get quotes from people to give you that outside assistance, and that in effect would then be your project, which would then be what you're applying for. I hope that helps.
Another question about planning permission. When I open my business, I have done the planning permission. So if I apply for the refurbishment now, do I need to apply for planning permission again?
I have no idea, unfortunately. That is a local authority question. Unfortunately, it's not county, so it would have to be, you would have to speak to your district and borough wherever you are based and speak to them about it. And also, if you're a tenant, speak to the landlord as well about it, I would say. If you own the business, own the premises, then I would speak directly to the council, but otherwise just speak to your landlord if you're a tenant.
Is there a time limit for completion of works if the application is successful, i.e. if a project is pending planning and the planning application takes longer than anticipated?
We can be flexible. I mean, if we're aware that, if you put in your application that it's pending planning permission, we can take that into account and we can be flexible with that. So, I mean, obviously, if you say, not sort of 5 years' time or something like that, it needs to be really sooner rather than later. But yeah, we can be flexible.
Do you have to stick with the contractor that you pick in the application, or
Yes.
are you able to change?
Ideally, yes. And if you do change, we need to know why you're going to change. because the point is that we're asking you to put the project through, and that you will have done your research and you'll have known who your suppliers are going to be. If you're then in a situation, for example, where you go back to that supplier and they say, sorry, I'm no longer able to do that work, I just haven't got the capacity for it, then we would expect you to kind of look at your second preferred option. If you're not in that situation, or the second preferred option, the cost is prohibitive, then you can look at an alternate supplier, but you would need to speak to us about it, and you'd also, as part, would need to declare it on your claim when you submitted your claim. But ideally, just talk to us about it. You know, keep those lines of communication open, because we will try and be as flexible as we can.
We've got a question about business eligibility. So what I'll do is I'll put the link into the chat. If that doesn't answer your question, perhaps maybe email us directly.
Yeah.
Landlord planning permission, would an email confirmation be enough?
Yes.
Is this grant class as business income and are taxable?
That you'd have to speak to your accountant about that. It is classed as state aid, so it would depend on the nature of your business. But I'm not an accountant, so you would need to speak to your accountant about that, I'm afraid.
If my project is ready to start within the next month, how fast are payments made?
Well, we try and make them as quickly as we can. Once your offer has gone out and you return your offer to us, we pay the 20% upfront amount out to you straight away. So that's pretty quick, but obviously you've got to remember that it doesn't go live until the 17th of May. And we're probably going to receive a lot of applications, so we might not get back to you. It's probably going to be a week to 1 to 2 weeks before we get back to you. So it's just take that into account. When we receive the claims through, we try and pay within sort of 3 to 5 business days. But again, obviously, you have to remember that we are, there will be lots of other people claiming at the same time, but we will try and pay as quickly as possible. It's not like a 28-day lead time or anything like that. I was just wondering, Emily, how many more questions have we got? Because we're getting towards the end of our hour, and I'm aware that I've been talking for a long time.
We've got about 6 or 7 questions left to go, and I'm conscious there are a couple of hands going up as well. So I don't know.
Fine,
you want me to keep going?
Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So do WCC, Warwickshire County Council, have any preferred links to expertise in terms of marketing or anything?
No, not at all.
Perfect. If we received an Arts Council grant, would we still be eligible to apply?
Yes, you would. You just need to declare it on your application form.
Jobs being safeguarded. We are hairdressers and the majority of the staff are self-employed. Do we still class these as employees?
No, you can't. If they're self-employed and not PAYE staff, you can't class them as staff safeguarded. The only person in that case that you'd be safeguarding the job of would be yourself as the business owner.
I run coaches and want to diversify to make one mothballed coach wheelchair accessible. Would conversion be eligible?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I have no idea. I mean, if it's a DD, I mean, I'm presuming it's not DDA requirement. It's not a legal requirement. If it was a legal requirement, it wouldn't be covered. But if it was something, I don't know. Matt, do you want to come in on that one?
Tricky one. I was hoping you were going to go to Sim first.
Sorry.
I think I suppose we've got to go back to the criteria for the grant in terms of supporting businesses that have been negatively impacted by COVID, as obviously it sounds like this particular business will have been done, and then kind of adapting and diversifying as a result of it. I think we'd probably want to have a look at this one. I think again maybe we need to have a conversation offline.
Yeah.
If
that's okay, if you want to email us.
If you please, if you want to drop us an email to the business@warwickshire.gov.uk email address, we can come back to you on that one.
Okay. And
Yep.
thanks, Matt. You got the next question, Emily?
I had quotes done back in January 2021. Do I need to get these done again?
If you're planning on using one of those suppliers and the quotes are still relevant, then no.
We would like to apply for a new kitchen to be able to do meals. Can we purchase the equipment ourselves using the grant, and then for the tradesmen to do the work like gas fitters, floor fitters, or do we have to get one business to do everything?
No, you can go with whoever you like. You're not forced to use any particular business at all. If you're buying equipment separately, then that's fine.
If the project is over 20,000 and we funded the remaining balance, would this be okay? And do we need to tell you?
Yes. Basically, if your project comes to 25 grand and you're applying for a grant for 20 grand, then obviously we would expect you to say that you're able to fund the other £5,000.
And how in depth do financial projects need to be?
Financials, what to be submitted, or?
It just says financial projects. I'm assuming that would be maybe the cost breakdown on the quotes, perhaps.
Okay, I mean, it's just
projections.
Oh, projections. Sorry.
I thought that was the case.
It's just basically to give us a rough idea where you know how you see the a grant affecting your business and how you're going to spend that money. So as detail, I mean, obviously it's not everyone's expertise providing financial figures, but you know your business better than anyone else. And, you know, the idea of this project is you've got an idea of how it's going to help make your business profitable in the future. So it's to do with, you know, how you see that benefiting the business and how you see your income going up in the future. But it's obviously with regards to the project costs, it's when your project's going to start, when that money is going to be going out to pay for it, and when the financial completion is going to happen.
Okay. We've got a final question on the chat about business eligibility. So what I might suggest is I'll put the link in there. If we could just go to a couple of people that have had their hands up. Thank you so much for waiting.
Yeah, thank you.
We've firstly got Hugh.
You're going to need to take yourself off mute, I'm afraid. Hello. I think there might be a problem with the connection there. Sorry.
I think they might have disconnected. So if we Hugh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, we can only hear you very, very faintly. Do you want to ask your question?
Well, I've already asked it in the chat about the wheelchair accessibility.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's great.
Fine.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And then we've got a hand up from Rosemary.
Okay, Rosemary.
Hello. Hi, it's Rosemary. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can. Oh, good. I don't know if this has been covered. I'm sorry, I came slightly late. Will equipment be covered in the grant?
Yes, capital equipment can be covered, providing that you are looking, it is part of a wider project to adapt and diversify your business. So yes, that it would be covered.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay.
And last question, can I ask a last question?
Go on, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, when it goes live on the 17th?
Yeah.
Is it 17th? Yes.
Yes.
What's the deadline to, when does it finish? Because last time we tried doing it and it finished bang within a short hour. What is the deadline for this?
Just submit it as soon as you can, Rosemary. That would be my best advice. The website should be able to cope with the level of interest.
Okay.
Last time we closed it at 6 o'clock in the same day.
Yes.
in the evening. So we're not going to put on a date that it's going to close, because it could be that we get a lot of applications. It could be that we don't get as many applications as we thought we were going to get. So what we will do is we'll monitor the situation throughout the day, and we'll close it as and when we feel we need to. But what I would advise is that you are prepared and you put your application in as early as possible.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Thank you. Okay.
I thought there was one more hand up, but I think they might have taken their hand down, so the question might have been answered. So I think that's all on questions.
Okay, that's great. In which case, Sim, if you want to go to the next slide, and I'll hand back over to you and Matt.
You okay, Sim? Oh, actually, we appear to have had another question.
You're going to have to take yourself off mute, whoever you are. Sorry.
My name's Paul Merchant. We own a campsite and a fishery, and we're currently trying to refurbish the toilet block, because we found out right at the start and realised last March really that no distancing could take place in the toilet block.
Yeah.
The project partially completed because we were anticipating only to be closed for a few months.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got relatively little income through last year and now this year. So we've really run out of capital to complete the project.
Okay.
More, I am actually carrying out the project myself. I'm a carpenter and joiner. Where would we stand with that? We'd be able to have a look at it. We can only look at costs from the 2nd of December last year, and this is because this was when the tiering system came in, that meant that so many businesses weren't able to reopen as they thought they were going to be able to. So we can only look at costs back to that level. But what I would suggest, with such a specific query, that we talk to you separately outside the session rather than have a conversation with everyone else present. So okay. Perhaps if you could just drop us an email, Paul, and then we can arrange a telephone call. Would that be okay? Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have got a couple more hands up, Louise, so I don't know if you want to just address these before we move on.
If we can move on and then come back to these questions in a moment, because it may be that they're answered by the next part of the presentation, but if not, we can answer them at the end. Perfect.
Yep, cool. All right, so I'm conscious that we've
overrun, so
I'll keep this kind of brief. So we thought, for some people it might be their first kind of interaction with the grant programme, and if you have got through this presentation and found actually you're not eligible or the projects are slightly different, then we thought it would be a good idea just to kind of give an overview of the rest of the support landscape. So there's a lot of financial and non-financial support, so I'll give you a quick overview, and if you see any and you think, oh, that might be for me, at the end, if you just drop us an email at the business address, and we can pick up some questions later on. So let's go into it. So I'll do non-financial first. So for startup support for businesses less than 2 years old, the Chamber of Commerce run a really good startup program. So that gives one-to-one advice and different workshops on business planning, finance, marketing, stuff like that. To be eligible, you have to be less than 2 years old, but it's a really good program to get you started. In addition to that, there's one called Business Ready. So this is from the University of Warwick Science Park. So this is open to young businesses, and it's support focused more around kind of tech-based businesses and kind of tech scale-ups. So it gives a bit of a different support. There's a lot of other non-financial support for kind of businesses that are older than 2 years as well. So WCC deliver a 12-hour business support program, so that's focused around access to finance. So it's one that I deliver, so I can work with businesses to take them through different grant programs and finance options. Business Ready, again, mentioned previously, that's not just for early stage businesses, but that's again for tech-based scale-ups. Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme, so for businesses that are looking to develop new products and services that are new to market, there's kind of feasibility studies and different things available for those types of businesses to get their projects off the ground. And Survive, Sustain and Grow. So this is the Warwickshire County Council programme. It was put together at the end of last summer, and it's kind of an intensive support programme for businesses that have been negatively impacted by COVID, and we've procured some specialist consultants. It's open to all businesses, but it's got a focus around retail, hospitality, tourism and leisure. And it's a programme where you work with the consultant over a few sessions to really look at where your business is now, where the challenges are, and they'll help you put an action plan into place kind of over the next 12 months as we come out of COVID and as you open up again. This one does come to an end in June, but if people are interested, then it is still open for applications. Sector specific stuff. So the Chamber of Commerce and Stories Marketing, they deliver a really good digital skills program, focusing around social media, digital marketing and online tools. So that's still open at the minute. Creative Futures, that's for creative businesses in Warwickshire, and it's a accelerator program based at 1 Mill Street in Leamington. So I think the last cohort has just been accepted into that, but applications will open up again later in the year for the next wave of businesses to go through. So they get access to Mill Street services and a pool of mentors and kind of other stuff as well. And at the minute, we are in the process of putting together a tourism and leisure programme. That will start after the Survive, Sustain and Grow is finished, I think, and we're looking to launch that around July time this year. So that's like the non-financial support. Access to finance. So there's quite a lot on the market in the Coventry and Warwickshire area, but these are kind of the main ones that you may kind of come into contact with. So these Coventry and Warwickshire Duplex Funds. So it's an unusual product, but it's a combination of a loan and a grant. Now, usually with grant funding, you have to fund the whole project up front and have the finance in place. So either a loan, overdraft, director's loan, something like that, but then you claim the money back. But for some businesses, if the match funding is a struggle, then a duplex can work really well. So it gives you the loan for the project up front. So you kind of get the loan in, you pay for your project, and then you claim back a grant of up to 40% of that loan. So it's quite specific, but it can work in some situations. The WCC small capital grants, this is the one that I deliver. So it gives grants of up to 35,000 for capital investments. So not like this grant we're talking about today, it's only capital, and it can fund up to 30% of costs. So it's typically been in the past for kind of machinery and equipment and larger projects up to kind of 100k. But the minimum project size starts at around about 16,500. So it can, you know, if the project you have in mind today is in excess of 30, 40, 50,000, then it might be worth looking at this small capital grants because it can get you up to 35k rather than the 20. But it's quite specific. ERDF innovation grants, again, it's for companies that are looking to develop new products or services. And that part funds projects up to a maximum of £50,000 grant, and it's only for new products. You know, if you're looking to develop a new piece of software that will allow you to do something, or a new widget that will allow you to manufacture something quicker, it's for that type of projects. And also, still the CBIL loans, they are available from CWRT, one of our partners. So that's the the government-backed scheme that's available to all businesses. That's still available. So that covers most of the financial and non-financial. I was conscious I didn't want to go into too much detail because we've covered quite a lot today. But if any of those you've seen, you think that I might be interested, then just drop an email to the business app address, and then I can get back to you with the link or the right person to contact for that program. So that's my part done. So Matt, did you want to take it from here with the skills in the last bit?
Yeah, I will do, Sim. Thank you. And we'll just run through this very quickly because just conscious we've overrun slightly because we had so many questions. And those people who have still got their hand up or who have asked questions in the chat that we've not answered yet, we'll come to them at the very end. But we just want to kind of get through this bit so everyone else can kind of see the full presentation. So yeah, just to finish, we have a team within our wider team at the County Council that supports businesses on employment and skills issues. So if you are looking at how to retain your staff, how to kind of keep them on at the moment, you're looking to recruit new staff, you're perhaps interested in taking on an apprentice, or you just want an informal conversation with someone about whether taking on an apprentice is the right thing to do, or you're interested in the government's Kickstart scheme, you can kind of contact our colleagues in the Warwickshire Skills Hub, and their contact details are on one of the next slides. Let's move on, please, Sim. And then also this webinar today is actually part of a wider program of webinars. So we have organised a number of webinars to coincide with the government roadmap and the easing of the restrictions with our colleagues at the district and borough councils and the police and also the fire and rescue service and public health. And there's 2 workshops coming up that might be of interest to you and some of the businesses on the webinar today. These 2 are particularly aimed at theatres, cinemas, concert halls, music venues, and hotel and accommodation sector. And then finally, our skills colleagues have organised a number of workshops to support businesses and employees as more and more businesses return to work and are allowed to reopen. So Emily, I think we'll put the links to both of those set of webinars in the chat. We could just move on to the next slide, please, Sim. So this just to finish in terms of kind of contact details, where to go for support. So on the right hand side, if you're interested in any of our support, anything that we've covered today, there are the various web links and also 2 email address. If you're if you're just interested in the range of support that might be available to your business, or you just want help with where to start in terms of accessing support, the best place to contact there is the LEP Growth Hub. They're a one-stop shop for businesses that exist in all sub-regions and are funded by government and the county council and other local authorities in the sub-region. So that's the best place to go for kind of general queries and trying to find the best way to navigate the support that's available to you. So we'll stop at this point. If people want to stay on for a few minutes, they're very welcome to do so. We'll deal with the last few questions, but otherwise I just wanted to thank Louisa, Sim and Emily for the webinar this morning, and above all to thank all you for joining us. We'll keep going for a few more minutes, so by all means do stay on, and the webinar will be made available on the Adapt and Diversify web pages if there's anything that you want to kind of go back and look at any point. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining us, and I can still see there's a lot of people here, so back to you, Louisa, just to deal with the the final questions?
Yeah, that's fine. I can see we've got some hands up.
Yeah,
So-
we've got a hand up from Gareth, first of all.
Okay, Gareth, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi there. It's a question that's come from another question that came in, just a point of clarity, really. It's regarding costs. We made an application in the initial Diversify application, didn't get it, and basically part of the application was for polytunnels in diversifying our site into growing for plant-based restaurant and that kind of thing. So we had to press ahead. We managed to buy one, although we needed two and some other elements. This is the question: did I hear right that if we bought it since, well, we bought it about a month ago, we could put that in on the application, get it back?
Yeah, I mean, if it's part of the project that you're submitting an application for, then yes, we can go back to the 2nd of December last year. So yeah, that you can.
Yeah,
put that
we were looking
cost
at
on your application.
we were looking at two polytunnels, a greenhouse, because we wanted a plant food to plate quickly, that kind of thing.
Okay.
We've managed to find money for one.
That's fine. If you just put in your application that you've already, that you've basically that's already been done and you've already paid for that item, but you would like it to be part of your application, that's absolutely fine. You just need to put that in your application.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gareth.
I've got a question from Malgul Zata.
Yes, hello. Sorry, I had to move away for a bit, so I don't know if that question was asked, but I received NDR cash grant last year. Am I still eligible?
What? Yes. There you go.
Okay.
Sim knew what you meant straight away. I didn't know what you meant, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Business rates grants they're separate from this, so that's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
And then we've got a hand up from Ben.
Okay.
Hi. The project I want support with won't happen until October, November this year. Will that still be valid?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if it's to do with COVID recovery and it's an adaptation or diversification of your business, then yes, providing the project meets the criteria of the grant, then yes, you can apply for it and to start in October. That's fine.
So what week?
It's
what
both.
Week or so
It's
after
diversity
the
and
half term do you think
recovery.
would be best?
Yeah, that's
to try
fine.
and
So just obviously put that as part of your application that's when you want to start the project, and that's absolutely fine. Providing the project meets the criteria, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we've got a question from Anita.
Okay.
Sorry, just unmuting. Yeah, my question is going back to boarding kennels. We cannot find a SIC code unless we used 55.90, which is classed as other accommodation.
I think what the best thing that we can do is if you could drop us an email.
Yeah.
And then we set up a conversation outside of the meeting, and then we can talk through that. Is that okay?
Absolutely fine. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for your patience.
And then we've got a hand up from Charlotte.
Okay, Charlotte.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Charlotte. I put this on a chart, but I didn't see the answer.
Okay.
I run a Airbnb. I did receive the grant from the local council. Now, because of following the rule with this social distancing, I was planning to do the shed in the garden, take the business outside. The shed in the garden, it don't need planning permission, but I'm trying to put the electric and toilet in there so that I can continue my business with the social distancing. You think I will be eligible?
I mean, if it's a project where you're adapting and diversifying your business because of COVID, which it sounds like it is, then I would certainly submit your application. Obviously, you just need to make sure that you've got all the supporting information with your application. and that should be fine. But yeah, I mean, it does sound like there is an adaptation going on there. But like I say, you will need to submit an application. We can't sort of pre-screen applications, as it were, and say whether they will go through or not.
So the support information that I need is if I get the codes, as well as, you know, the codes, how much it's gonna cost me and things like that.
Yeah, all of the information's on the web page for what you need to be able to put through your application. So it's all on the web page, the guidance, and then there's a copy of the application form, which is for reference only. You don't submit that application form. It has to be an online application on the 17th of May.
Okay, so
All right.
we can't do before the 17th of May.
You can't submit it before then, no, I'm afraid not.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Thank you.
Got a hand up from Lee.
Okay. Lee, did you want to go ahead?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, we can now, yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask, once the application is approved and you send the 20%, how long after that will you send the rest of the grant?
You have to spend it. So basically, it would be a case of you making a claim. So what we would do is we would pay you the 20% up front once we've received your signed offer letter in agreement. And then basically what would happen after that is we would then send you your claim documents. There's a and we tell you how to fill those documents out, and you would then need to submit your claim spreadsheet with your invoices and evidence of payment.
Okay, so after everything's completed, then you send.
It doesn't have to be when everything's completed. You can claim it as you go along, because obviously we're aware that cash flow can be a bit of an issue at the moment. So basically, you can make well, we send out a claim form with 3 claim forms on it, so you can make 3 claims, but if you need to make more, you can.
Okay, so after I apply for the after I finish the applications, can I start like doing the work, or
not until you've received an offer? No, because the thing is there's no guarantee when you submit the application that you'll then get an offer, that you'll then be successful. So I would never spend any money that you're relying on receiving in a grant without confirmation that you're going to be in receipt of that grant, because otherwise you could be out of pocket.
Can I do a few months after, or straight away after it's been approved, like being offered?
You can, as part of your project plan, you can spend it. You need to tell us in your project plan when you think you're going to spend the money. So yeah, you can. It doesn't have to be within 2 weeks or anything like that. It can be a month or a few months if need be.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
We've got a hand up from Daisy.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, hello. Sorry, my name is Adriana. That's my daughter's login.
Okay, sorry.
My name is Adriana. I am diversifying to a dog grooming business, and while I'm waiting for my shed to be built, I'm considering to start trading from home. So if I was to buy some basic equipment like scissors and clippers, could I then claim it back on a grant?
Is this a new business?
Yeah, well, I'm changing from a business because I used to the bridal wear, and that has been affected.
The thing is it's not a diversification of an existing business. It's actually sort of like a new business startup. So I'm not sure we would class it as an adaptation or diversification. I think it would more likely come under like a startup, because it is a completely new business, as opposed to because it's quite a big stretch between sort of bridal wear and dog grooming.
Okay.
Is what I'm thinking, but
I mean, yeah, we can have a chat offline. It depends if it's if it's under the same kind of UTR, or but yeah, we can pick it up after, I guess.
I think if you can drop us an email to the Adriana to the business @, and then we can make contact with you afterwards. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. Okay,
right. Is that it?
We've got a couple more hands up, but can we just go to Lucinda's question in the chat, because I'm conscious that she has been waiting quite a while. So thank you for your patience. I was an established business and was restarting in February 2020, but obviously with everything came to a halt. Oh, I do apologise, I can't see the rest of the question. Oh, everything has come to a halt. I was a commercial photographer, but now would like to diversify my business to online retail, selling photography to interior designers. Would I be eligible?
If you're because you're diversifying your business from one element of photography to a different element of photography. So it sounds like you would be eligible, and photography was one of the fields that we added to the SIC codes on this time because we were aware that people in that field had been affected that weren't included in the last round. So you should be eligible, yes, but just check the SIC codes. Okay, any more?
We've got a couple more hands.
Okay. We might have to go to emails being sent in a moment, Emily, I'm afraid.
Possibly, yeah.
Sorry.
We've just got one hand up from IK Guest. I don't believe they've actually asked a question yet. If we could just come to that one.
Okay.
And then possibly I think we would need to advise people to email in.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. This is Ilyas. I have a mobile coffee van which I used to trade from one of the pitch in Rugby, and I had to stop during October time.
Yeah.
And now I am so I'm adapting and I'm restarting soon from another location in Rugby. But for that, I'm going to spend so that is one project that I need to make some changes, and I have to make it kind of I can take card payments, etc. And the same business, under the same business, I'm planning on another project of starting an entrepreneurship development for cafe, sort of an education institute where I can teach people how to start a cafe business, basically.
Yeah.
So that is definitely going.
Yeah, I think this is not as straightforward as I initially thought. So I would say that it's probably something that we would need to have a conversation with you about. And I would ask if you could email the business at Warwickshire with your contact details. And then what we can do is we can get in touch with you, because it sounds like there's quite a lot going on there, and it's not just something that would be covered by Adapt and Diversify. It's something probably a subject that would be covered by a different program as well. So if you could email in, that would be really handy, and then we can give you a proper response. Is that okay?
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm aware now that we've gone half an hour over time, so I'm afraid what I'll have to do now is we'll have to end the webinar. But what I would say is, if you have got any questions that haven't been answered, please do email us at the business@warwickshire.gov.uk email address. Please also do take note of what I said about the web page and the fact that the guidance and the application form and the SIC codes, eligible SIC codes, are all on the web page. So please do read that information before you submit any questions, because it could be that your question has been answered as part of that information that's on there. Okay, but thank you very much for attending, everyone. And I'm sorry I've got to end it here, but obviously because we've gone half an hour over, unfortunately we will need to end it now. But any queries at all, if you email business@warwickshire.gov.uk, and a recording of this webinar will be made available on the web page in the next couple of days. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.